Well, I tell you what, Donald Trump is joining us right now. Mr. Trump, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So what do you think about this Iranian deal? We got our people back. They got $100 billion back, and some people who were in big trouble.
Well, they're actually getting $150 billion, and we are getting 4 people back. They're getting 7 plus, and I know you just mentioned it, the 14 Interpol bad ones. They're baddies.
Yep.
So they're getting them, and they're going to get oil, and they're going to get a lot of other things. They get a lot of things in this deal. It's always nice to get people back, but they're getting a lot of things in this deal. This is sort of an amazing thing. Actually, you know, I've been talking about this for years now, about how we should have our people back, and we shouldn't be negotiating until we get them. And then I heard they got back. I said, well, that's good, finally. And I figured we were just getting them back, and I didn't realize we were giving up so much. We just gave up so much. It's just such a bad deal. And it's nice to have our people back, but it's just such a bad deal. It could have been so much better.
So do you think that this is setting a dangerous precedent, or do you think the president could and should be taking a victory lap of any sort this morning?
Well, it's setting a very, very dangerous precedent, Anna. If you look at, you know, what's going on, if you look at the thinking of these people, they're going to say, well, wait a minute, if we can do this, let's get Anna over here for an interview, and let's never let her come back, okay? You know, they'd be very happy with that. Can you imagine what they'd get for Anna?
You're saying it puts a bounty on Americans' heads abroad.
That would be an amazing one, right? But no, but seriously, if you know, I mean, what we're doing is anybody that's anywhere near the region, they're going to start taking Americans, and they're going to negotiate deals. These are, you know, the Persians are great negotiators, and they've proven it here, but they're great negotiators. And there was no reason for this. When we made the deal originally, we should have said we want the prisoners back, and they would have said no, and we would have just gone on a little bit, and we would have said, that's okay, you leave the room. They never leave the room. You know, the Americans never left the room once. How do you have a deal that, first of all, the deal took too long. But how do you have a deal like that? They leave the room, and they say, and they double up the sanctions. They'll call you within 48 hours saying you've got your prisoners back, and this would have taken place 3 years ago. I mean, they're babies. They don't know what they're doing. This administration, they just don't know what they're doing. It's so embarrassing.
Meanwhile, at 8 minutes after the hour, your name came up again last night. Not only did it come up at the State of the Union, but it also came up in the State of the Democrats candidates to hopefully, from their point of view, say the next State of the Union address. Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley weighing in on you.
It is beyond my comprehension how we can elect the President of the United States, somebody like Trump, who believes that climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese.
Donald Trump wants to start a registry in our country of people by faith. He can start with me, and I will sign up as one who is totally opposed to his fascist appeals that wants to vilify American Muslims.
All right. They're responding to this tweet, Mr. Trump. The concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive.
Well, I think that climate change is just a very, very expensive form of tax. A lot of people are making a lot of money. I know much about climate change. I've received many environmental awards, and I often joke that this is done for the benefit of China. Obviously, I joke, but this is done for the benefit of China because China does not do anything to help climate change. They burn everything you can burn. They couldn't care less. They have very... You know, their standards are nothing, but in the meantime, they can undercut us on price. So it's very hard on our business. We want clean air. We want clean water. And I feel very strongly about that. Now, the other one, O'Malley, and you know, I just looked at the most recent poll with Sanders. I just don't see the guy. I can't imagine. Here's a guy who's a socialist / probably communist.
But he could win the first 2 contests.
Well, he could win it, but did you see the rest of the poll? The rest of the poll looks like it's pretty tough. But let's see what happens. It's hard to believe that he would get in. But to be honest with you, it's hard to believe that Hillary would get in. I mean, here you have 2 people, and the third one, his big claim to fame is he's the mayor of Baltimore. I mean, you see what a great job he did with Baltimore before he was governor, and he's a joke. I mean, he shouldn't even be in the contest. He's down to 1 or 2%. Right. It's like, you know, you have these people at 1 or 2%, and I don't know why it would bother me. Who cares? But I watched last night, and I said, why is he even talking? But he's always invoking my name,
Mr.
O'Malley. He's always invoking
somebody else who is using your name from time to time is Ted Cruz. It is exactly 2 weeks from today the Iowa caucuses are going to be held. I know yesterday you were on a show and you were talking about Ted Cruz. You said nobody likes him in Congress. He's a nasty guy. He has now turned around and is attacking you on Twitter. He says, as the Dem debate begins last night, Republicans have to wonder which team Donald Trump would play for, and then it goes on to play a rather lengthy clip where you're talking about Hillary Clinton and the Clintons and things like that.
In a nice way.
What's going on here?
Well, I think you'd have to ask that same question of Ronald Reagan, because Ronald Reagan, when he was younger, was a very pretty strong liberal, and he became quite conservative, not the most, but he became quite conservative, and he did become a great president. And Ronald Reagan you'd have to ask the same exact question of him. And, before I was a politician, to be honest with you, my views change and everybody's views change. And certainly, if you look at Ted Cruz, he was very weak on immigration, and now all of a sudden he's trying to say, oh, let's build a wall. I mean, the other day I heard him say, oh, we have to build a wall. Well, I said, where did that come from? Everybody thought my wall idea wasn't so good, and now all of a sudden they're all saying, oh, let's build a wall. Number one, I know how to get it done, and I know how to make Mexico pay for it. Believe me, they will pay for it. But people say things and people change, and it is true. He's very unpopular in Washington.
Right. A quick question for you. People like Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin have weighed in, essentially telling you to back off. They were supporting you to a degree, but they don't want you attacking Ted Cruz. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I like both of them, and they've both been very nice. And Rush has been unbelievable to me, and they've been great. But I have to do what I have to do. I want to make America great again. I have to get things done. When you have somebody that can't get along with anybody in Washington, you're not going to get deals done. I mean, you have to get deals done. We can't always keep invoking executive orders like Obama does, because he can't get deals. Here's another guy, can't get a deal done, so he just sits down behind a desk, signs an executive order, he gets sued, and let's see what happens in 5 years from now, okay? But that's not the way you do it. You get Congress, you get them together, you get everybody together in a room, you cajole, you get along, you have dinner, and you make deals. And, everybody hates Ted. It's a very tough thing. They all hate him, I mean, for a lot of reasons, but they all hate him. And, by the way, he's attacked me, so when he attacks me, as you know, I'm a counterpuncher.
You are.
You've seen a lot of people,
early. All right.
You've all seen a lot of people attack